Shadows of the unknown, the mysterious visitor in the night. One eerie night, the shadows danced around the dimly lit lobby of the hotel where I toiled through the graveyard shift. My role was simple: stand at the front counter and cater to the sporadic souls seeking refuge in the dark hours. The night was mostly a canvas of silence, broken only by the occasional murmurs of the wind and the soft pattering of raindrops. On this peculiar night, a tempest raged outside, casting an otherworldly glow upon the wet pavement. As I stared into the abyss of the storm, a stranger materialized at the entrance. He moved through the first set of doors and halted in the vestibule, his eyes scanning the interior like a ghost inspecting the living. A quick, awkward exchange of glances ensued before he fumbled through his pockets, retreating into the storm without a word. Strange encounters were not uncommon in the desolate hours of my shift, but this one left a lingering unease. He lacked luggage, a common companion of hotel dwellers, and yet I brushed off the peculiarity, attributing it to the eccentricities of the night. Time slithered by, and my only companions were the walls and the relentless raindrops. Suddenly, the phone on the desk shattered the silence, revealing an outside number. Reluctantly, I answered, delivering the standard hotel greeting. A voice on the other end requested assistance with luggage left in the front lot. The man claimed to have parked in the front, pleading for aid in transporting a small suitcase. Bellman long gone, I declined, expecting frustration in return. Surprisingly, he accepted it gracefully, suggesting I step outside to lend a hand. A strange request, but against my better judgment, I agreed. As I stood between the entrance doors, impatience crept in. I opened the door, my head poking into the storm. Across the lot, the man waved frantically, urging me to join him. An unsettling feeling clawed at me. Why persist in the rain? Ignoring him, I retreated to my post, awaiting the pull-up to the front I had initially suggested. Moments later, without the telltale sound of a vehicle, the man appeared inside the lobby. Panic set in. He must have sprinted through the deluge to reach me. This time, he stood breathless a few feet from the counter, repeating his plea for assistance with the elusive suitcase. A chill ran down my spine. Something was amiss. He claimed to have removed the luggage from his car, refusing to return it. Skepticism gripped me as I insisted on checking him in before any further aid. His demeanor soured, anger radiating from him like a storm within. In an unsettling outburst, he resisted the notion of checking in first and demanded immediate assistance. My patience waned, and with a hint of defiance, I voiced my concerns. You shouldn't have left your bags outside in the rain. If you refuse to check in, then I'm gonna have to make you leave. Furious, he stormed out, leaving behind the lingering sensation of impending danger. He never returned that night, and when the morning shift arrived, I recounted the peculiar encounter. To this day, the mystery man remains a specter in my memory, a phantom attempt to lure me into the unknown depths of a stormy night. Whispers in the night, a surreal encounter on the lonely road. Roads at night can be an unsettling canvas, especially when it's a journey one seldom undertakes. I'm not accustomed to road trips, preferring the swift embrace of planes for distant travels. However, the abrupt summons to a family member's funeral thrust me onto a lonely highway, a 10-hour drive to my cousin's house. Packed for an unforeseen duration, I commenced the drive the next morning at 10 a.m., a reluctant navigator on an unfamiliar road. The wheels of my car devoured the asphalt as I ventured into the unknown. It had been years since I undertook such a long drive, yet an unwarranted confidence lingered that I could conquer the distance in a single day, devoid of any pit stops at hotels or the like. The road unfurled beneath the tires, leading me through expansive plains and occasional trysts with small forests. Valleys interrupted the monotony, lacking proper drainage, and transformed into precarious waterways during storms, demanding a cautious traverse to avoid the perils of flooding. A particular section of the route posed an insurmountable challenge, a flooded path where the rainwater converged, rendering the road impassable. Fearful of my car succumbing to the elements in the middle of nowhere, I reluctantly retraced my journey, searching for an alternative route. These unforeseen obstacles elongated my drive beyond the anticipated duration, and with the sun setting after nearly 8 hours on the road, exhaustion began to gnaw at me. Realizing the imperative need for rest, I scoured the desolate landscape for a haven. 45 minutes of struggling against drowsiness led me to a small town, more of a forgotten hamlet with barely 20 structures and distant farmhouses dotting the outskirts. My quest for a motel proved futile, leaving me with a modest parking lot adjacent to a local grocery store as my makeshift refuge. The town wore an eerie quietness, its only illumination emanating from a handful of streetlights. A sense of isolation permeated the air, enhanced by the darkness that enveloped the few roads. Despite the unsettling ambience, I locked my car, casting wary glances around before reclining my seat and closing my eyes. In the stillness of the night, I succumbed to the lullaby of rain drumming on my car roof. A tentative slumber enveloped me, but when I awoke, the atmosphere had transformed. Thunder and lightning reverberated louder, casting an ominous shadow over the parking lot. The darkness clung more tightly, and in the distance, I discerned a figure advancing toward my vehicle. The rain distorted my vision, but as the figure closed the gap to within 20 feet, the outline clarified into that of a man. A chill crawled up my spine, intensified by the realization that he approached, seemingly unperturbed by the pouring rain. Yet, his empty hands offered a fragile reassurance that immediate danger might be averted. As he reached my car, instead of attempting to break in, he placed his hands flat on the back door, pushing with an inexplicable determination. Panic set in. This man wasn't seeking entry but was trying to move the entire car. Bewilderment gripped me, and in a futile attempt to signal my presence, I ignited the engine, flooding the parking lot with the car's headlights. The man, seemingly impervious to my warnings, persisted in his bizarre endeavor. His hands pressed against the metal, pushing with a fervor that defied reason. Frustration mingled with fear, and in a slow retreat, I began backing out. The man trailed the car for a couple of steps before releasing his grip, standing in the rain-soaked darkness, watching me as I pulled away. I left the town, its strange stillness haunting my rearview mirror. The man, a mysterious specter in the night, resumed his solitary journey, disappearing into the same shadows from which he emerged. The remainder of the drive to my cousin's house was devoid of further disturbances, but the enigma of that small, forgotten town lingered, a disconcerting tale etched into the annals of my memory. Whispers in the Rain, a remote house's dark encounter. Nestled in the vast landscapes of Washington state, our remote house stood isolated, half a mile from the nearest neighbors in either direction. Surrounded by dense forests and small towns scattered here and there, it was a typical setting for those who embrace the serenity of solitude. I had spent my entire life in that house, growing accustomed to the tranquility that enveloped us, until a chilling incident at the age of 14 shattered my sense of security. Spring break had arrived, and my parents had initially planned a trip to Florida, a departure from our usual routine. However, a complication at my dad's work forced us to cancel the much-anticipated vacation. In an attempt to compensate, my parents decided to take me to a water park on that fateful Sunday. The day was enjoyable, but the mirth was abruptly halted as a storm cloud swiftly approached, prompting a hasty evacuation from the pool. By the time we reached home, the tempest was upon us, rain cascading in torrents, and thunder clashing with the frequent flashes of lightning. An eerie feeling gripped me as we pulled into the driveway, noticing that the garage stood wide open. My dad dismissed it as a mere oversight, speculating that the sensor might have caught on something. Yet, my mom insisted she saw it fully closed when we left. Despite the ominous weather, we entered the house, seeking refuge from the storm. The sound of rain intensified, resonating through the entire house. Halfway up the stairs, an inexplicable noise in the hallway drew my attention. Straining my ears, I ascended, anticipating the presence of an animal. However, upon reaching the top, I found my bedroom lights illuminated, a detail I was sure I hadn't overlooked earlier. Uncertainty clung to the air as I approached my room cautiously. The sound of shuffling, akin to a small creature moving between boxes, reached my ears. Opening the door, I expected to find a rat or some such intruder, yet my room appeared untouched. The mystery deepened as I scoured for signs of an animal, finding none. Perplexed, I sat on my bed, contemplating the strangeness of it all. In the silence, a shadow swiftly passed beneath my bedroom door, unmistakably the silhouette of a person. Panic seized me, and I stood frozen, realizing that I was trapped in my room. In desperation, I texted my dad, informing him of the intruder. His swift response indicated that he was on his way. As my dad ascended the stairs, I listened nervously, fearing an ambush. He opened my door, concern etched across his face, and I quickly relayed what I had witnessed. Together, we descended the hall and back downstairs. A loud thud echoed from upstairs, followed by rapid footsteps down the hall. In the living room, my dad retrieved a small bat, anticipating a confrontation. The footsteps thundered down the stairs, the front door swung open, and a fleeting glimpse of a man running into the distance met our eyes. Panic consumed us, and my dad dialed 911. The authorities, hindered by the remote location, arrived nearly 30 minutes later. They interviewed my parents and me, conducted a brief search, yet the intruder remained elusive. The unsettling truth emerged: the break-in was not a random act. Someone knew of our canceled vacation plans, signaling a betrayal within our circles. The realization that the intruder might be someone familiar, someone we interacted with, cast a chilling shadow over the tranquility we once knew. It was a stark reminder that in the embrace of isolation, one could be vulnerable to shadows lurking in the periphery.